Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, joined by Christina Piranio. She is the president and CEO of the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum. How you doing there, Christina?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. How long have you been involved in the organization?
Well, it just depends on what you consider the beginning of being involved.
Well, how about in the CEO role?
Since January of this year.
Now, were you a board member before?
No, I was not, but I was a patron.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
For how long were you a patron?
Let's see. I have a 12-year-old now, and at the time she was 6.
Oh, so 6
I had
years.
a first grader.
Nice.
And it just moved back to San Diego, where I'm from. But we moved this time to Poway, and I was looking for where can I take this first grader? What would be fun? And we found them, and there was a museum.
What do you love about the museum?
Well, when I took her the first time, I loved that it was, it just seemed like there was so much opportunity for the imagination, for her, things to touch and play and hands-on. I always loved how small it was, small and big, right? But accessible. So there was lots to do for her age, and it felt like a big place to her, but it wasn't like a huge trip. You could do it in a few hours and then come back in a few weeks and do it again in a few hours, and it was always new and fun. So
Right, exactly. So have you been involved with nonprofits in the past?
Yeah, I mean, probably since right out of college.
Right. So which ones have you worked with? Obviously, you're the CEO of this one now. Which other ones have you worked with?
Here in town, you might know the International Rescue Committee.
I do know
IRC.
Very well.
So yes, I had the opportunity to work with IRC early on in my career.
Great organization.
Do you know Casa Cornelia Law Center?
I do.
So I got the pleasure to work with Carmen.
She's been on the show a long time ago.
Yes. Oh, good.
Yes.
Yes.
Is she still doing it?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, pretty sure. And then most recently at Voices for Children.
Great organization.
Another great organization. So I've really been very blessed to work with such wonderful organizations here in San Diego.
Right. So how has the gig been so far?
Oh my gosh, it's been amazing. It's a wonderful experience. You bring a nonprofit background, to the museum, and then you realize you really don't know anything at all because it's different. I've worked with so many human services organizations that don't, kind of have this come to the museum and pay the, admission price. So that's kind of a different element to it. But in terms of the work that we're doing, I mean, we're really working on making sure that children are accessing really important early education, and that's incredibly inspiring.
Well, it is. And you folks are located up in Escondido, right across from Grape Street Park and so forth. And it's got a nice little footprint there. But your footprint is huge. It's countywide because you have all these mobile units. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, in 2017, they said, how are we going to get this, this great work we're doing? We're kind of maxed out on physical space, right? Unless we build a second story, where are we going? And they found a van and bought the van and realized that they could take the programming in the museum out. And that programming has continued. So the mobile museum, it goes to schools, it goes to after-school programs. It's one time gone to the One Paseo Mall. I mean, it is out there. It has done a birthday party or a few actually at this point, if I'm remembering correctly. So where else is the mobile museum going? But it's inspiring kids, not only at the museum, but out in the community.
Well, that's so important too. How many mobile museums do you have? Is it one? Do you have several?
Well, we have 4 vans. We have 3 vans
Gotcha.
And an SUV. So sometimes our actual physical exhibits go onto the van.
Okay.
So I don't know, many people are familiar with the wind tunnel at the museum. So below the scarves go blown up. We have one that goes on our mobile.
Nice.
So that's always a hit. The light wall can go out into the mobile, on the mobile van. So so our actual exhibits will go travel. And then sometimes we take our programming. We take our hands-on experiences out and we're teaching children about that's often, we call those workshops, but for the purposes of mobile, it's us going out into the community and meeting with children. Even most recently, we took a van to the Otay Mesa Library, and
nice.
That's how far we're reaching. Here in the from Escondido.
Well, it's so important. That. We just talked about it in one of our recent episodes here, that anybody who thinks that every single kid has the same opportunities in this county obviously is very mistaken. The amount of youth that have never been to the beach in San Diego County is a big number, or have ever been to the mountains, or have ever been to a museum. And you guys, that's in your DNA, of course, at the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum, to say, we don't take that for granted. We know there's many kids this is the first time they've been exposed to a museum and so forth. Talk about how important it is and the looks on their faces now when you come to them.
Yeah. We are kind of an amazing thing to small children. They walk in and they can't wait. It's kind of the only place I've ever experienced where I felt just the teeniest bit of joy when children were crying because they're leaving.
Right.
And so I always think, oh, that's a good sign. I feel bad, but that's a great sign. We're doing really great work here. Nobody wants to leave. So we are doing something that is not really happening elsewhere especially in our area of North County, but really targeting this particular age group, right? This younger 0 to 10. It's hard to create everything low to their height, and that we're building in those challenges, and we do that through play, right? Children are not there to sit in a classroom environment. We're doing it through making sure that everything that we've created in the museum is for children to play with, but as they're playing, they are gaining those critical skills, building blocks, and it'd be that wonderful exposure for what's going to happen later on. And then there's kind of another element of what we do. It's that museum moment, right, where we are actually kind of creating a civicness around museums. We're the first place that you children come to go to a museum. You've been to a museum, and now you can say you always have been to one. So when you are an adult, and checking out other museums, it's not such a foreign idea, right?
And I think it's important. We're talking to Christina Piranio. She is the CEO of the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, broadcasting from this really cool Mission Fed studio here at Scripps Ranch. Mission Fed for 6 decades have been doing great things to support people living in San Diego County. Talk about some of your new exhibits.
Oh, yeah. So this is a really exciting moment, when exhibits come to life on the floor.
Right.
Well, the first one we'll share is we've got a brand new exhibit called Storytime Inventing. And what we were trying to do was, starting about two and a half years ago, was to reimagine the book nook. So we have a space in the museum where you can read, just sit, enjoy. Families can read together. We do story time there as well.
Right.
And we said, what can we do? Can we inspire this space a little bit? How might we re-envision it a little bit? And the evolution of that resulted in a much larger exhibit. So this, with kind of a really bold idea, how are we as a museum that does lean a little towards focusing on STEM through play? But how do we incorporate reading and how to bring STEM into the book nook? And so what we've created is a space where we bring literacy and STEM together in one exhibit. And so in our exhibit, what children and families are inspired to do is to, hopefully, we put out the book is there for you and your family to read to children. So you can pull that right off the shelf, read it first, and then we create a challenge. And all children's stories come with a challenge.
Of course.
What's happening? What's the problem that they're solving? And we're looking at saying to children, how can you solve this problem using the Rockenbach manipulatives, which we have on the tables there in the exhibit? So it's exciting. It's a really, our idea was, how do we bring families? How do we engage parents or caregivers in an exhibit? How are we building on that with adding STEM and literacy? And we're trying it out. We haven't seen anything else like it. We really want to know how that's going to work. And we know how important it is because literacy starts and that work starts so young. So this is the best place to start to introduce those STEM concepts through literacy in a way that's much more accessible for parents.
Right. Now, is that sort of related to the Curiosity exhibit, or is it right next to it?
So we had to move that. So we have so then, as things shift in the museum space.
That's right.
That's where we had our imaginary play.
Mm-hmm.
So an exhibit that we call generally our town or the town exhibit, but everything had to shift. We had to move the laundromat. Where was it going to go? So it got moved. So that becomes our next kind of new exhibit. Everything there got refreshed and updated. We have so the laundromat continues. We have a grocery store sponsored by Jimbo's. We have a, which is adorable. We have a house. So our dress up and our but imaginative play space continues in what we're calling Curiosity, the city of. So that was our play there, and that was so fun. We have a little bit of an electricity station there, and we have Grande Laundry, who's sponsored our laundromat. So we're really excited. Kids are already playing it and loving it.
And I bet, and you got a new water exhibit coming in next year.
Yeah, so that's what's up next. So in 2025 we're doing water.
Beautiful.
So
water's important in this area,
and we have a beloved water table. The table's been there since the beginning, I think. And but water really can take its toll on anything. So after years and years, with so much wonderful play, it's time to bring in something new, a new water table. And so guests of the museum can look forward to that, and the community look forward to that sometime in 2025.
Well, that's something to look forward to as well. Christina Piranio, she is the CEO of the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum. Christina, when we come back from break, want to talk about the Ignite Their Spark fundraising event. You guys can't wait for that. And I think, I really want to hit on something you said earlier, how important play is to education, of course, and forget about learning. Of course, you're going to learn through play anyway, for God's sake, whether you like it or not, in this aspect. And I think something that we chatted about, the importance of having education that's accessible. You certainly do that through your mobile units and that aspect as well. And then we always save time in the second half of the show to say, what can our Spotlight on the Community listeners do to help elevate what you're doing? So get some thought to that when we return to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest running community podcast on our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades, doing great things in San Diego County. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. Honored to have in the studio with us today the CEO of the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum. They're up in Escondido, Christina Piranio. And Christina, we were talking about all the cool things, your new exhibits that you have, coming up. Looking forward to the water exhibit in 2025. But you got a pretty cool fundraising event that's on the horizon. When is it? What is it?
Yeah, we do. We're so excited. We're calling it Ignite Their Spark. So as kind of a play on our mission statement to spark a love of learning for children. And we wanted to do with our fundraising event was, first of all, bring it back. We hadn't had one since 2018, so that's a big deal. COVID really took a toll on the museum, just closing things down and getting ourselves back to kind of the before COVID time. So, bringing that fundraising event back is an exciting moment for us.
Right. What day is it?
It's on September 7th. It's a Saturday.
Okay, September 7th. And of course, it's going to be in your hood.
It's going to be at the museum, certainly. And then what we wanted to do was, we said, we're so focused on play, and play is so important for children, but it's actually really important for adults too.
Should be important for anybody who's still walking upright, for God's, or laying down, I guess, for that matter.
Right.
Yeah. How many people are you expecting?
Well, what we're hoping for is about, let's just go really big on it. Let's say 500 people should come to the event. That would be amazing.
I think you're going to have 500 come up. And will you cap it at 500? There is a sort of a limit of space, though.
There is a little bit of a limit of space. Yes, technically, we do have a space capacity. So yes, we will be capping it.
Okay.
But the event itself is, we just were thinking about, how do adults play?
Right.
What is that going to look like? And so that's really exciting for the museum team internally to be thinking about how are we going to have adults playing in our space?
Right.
Starting with dress up, we're having Ignite Their Spark. We're encouraging sparkle attire.
Okay.
So that's your first hint of what's to happen. But the rest will be a fun surprise for everyone coming out that night.
And what is the cost?
$150 a ticket.
Oh, that's very...
$125 if you're a museum member.
Okay.
So, we like to stick with our on brand for that.
Sure.
We always, a discount to our members.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then it goes from when to when?
So it's going to start 5:30 to 9 o'clock. So we'll have some live music during the evening. We'll have an inspiring program. We're going to have what we're calling a strolling dinner. So very heavy hors d'oeuvres for the evening.
Oh, nice.
There might be some play with food. I mean, you all will just have to come.
Will there be adult cocktails?
Yes, of course.
Or adult beverages,
adult beverages. Okay. There will be adult beverages.
No, that sounds fun. And again, how do they sign up for this?
Oh, it's online. So at the museum's website, and you look for Ignite Their Spark fundraising event, right? And we'll get your tickets anytime. It's available now, open now.
Yeah.
So,
your footprint is big. You served 116,000 children, and 26,000, of those, came from families who qualify for Access for All program. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things that we're doing at the museum. And one of the biggest reasons to have our fundraiser, there are a lot of families that would not be able to come to the museum to afford the admission to the museum for them and their families. But we know this kind of opportunity is critical. And so we want to make sure everybody can come. So we do have an Access for All program. If you have a qualifying card, document, et cetera, that you can present when you come to the museum, it's $1 for every person in your party. And that's so important to us. This kind of opportunity to play, hands-on learning, it should be available to the entire community. So we include that in everything we do. Accessibility to the museum includes being able to enter the museum regardless of your ability to pay.
Yeah, you have a long list of strong partners. You've listed some of those that are involved with the exhibits, of course. But I know you have a very good relationship with our friend who's near and dear to our heart, and that is Luis Rankin-Zabarra. He is the superintendent of the Escondido Union Elementary School District. Talk about that relationship.
The Escondido district is so critical to everything that we do, right? They welcome us as partners.
Exactly.
During the school day, we provide mobile exhibits to the first graders throughout the entire Union District. Right. And then we also participate in after-school enrichment. We've brought field trips, not come to a museum. So they are such critical partners. We touch, and we have multiple touch points with so many families and children.
Right. And I think that is important. And we talked about that earlier. Can't take for granted that folks have been to a museum before or have done any of these aspects. And, once you spark their interest, the beauty of working here, I'm preaching to the congregation, of course, with young folks, they are just so amazed to learn anything.
Oh, yeah.
And
love it.
In many ways, 10 times better than adults, for God's sake, or too intimidated to touch something. That would be your challenge on your Ignite the Spark fundraising event. No, you're here to play, so don't worry. You can't break anything. Yeah. You're not going to send a missile out to somebody by hitting these things, right? Kids have no problem with that. They're out there fooling around. They come out of the womb, right?
That's right.
Exactly. In this, I want to get back to something you talked about earlier that I think is just so important: play.
Yeah.
I know, talking to one of the groups we had on recently is from the National Academy of Athletics. And back in the day, I'm dating myself now, is when we were kids growing up, you'd bring your baseball mitt, your bat, your basketball, football. We're going down to the park and mom will see you in 9 hours or whatever the case may be. And we made up stuff.
Right.
We don't do that anymore. Okay. For there are many reasons why we don't do that anymore. Some of them is because we're lazy, and some because people are hiding. I shouldn't say hiding behind. They're behind devices and all that. But getting out to play is so important. Talk about that.
Yeah. You know, one of the things we experience at the museum is just how important it is for children to come and be in a space and see other children playing. And a lot of our children, especially if they are not yet school aged, they're doing that at the museum. They're making actually new relationships and friends with, there on the day that they come. We have the Imagination Playground out in the back in our outdoor area,
right.
Discovery Garden. And they are the big blue blocks. I don't know if people might know what they are, but they're large. You can build structures. And it's the one space where we all say that is where kids who did not come to the museum together are playing together, building together, achieving together, and really just experiencing what it is to really play.
Right.
And it's not that you wouldn't do that throughout the museum, but that's one of those things where it takes more people. You need extra hands. You're building a little community there in the spirit of building this project that you're all creating as you're playing. And so we see it all the time in the museum, but we know that this doesn't happen very many other places. Maybe a little bit at recess, but that's just a quick 15 minutes of your day. And we know how critical it is to children's development. There is endless research that says that children need to imagine and play and experience and build and all of the things that we're, of course, making available to children at the museum.
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me, the things that we know have worked ever since people were walking upright, right? And that is, the prehistoric folks playing around with dinosaurs, whatever. When play and doing things you want to do and things you like to do, you are going to exceed and you're going to excel. I'm sort of happy to say that in recent years, we've been getting more of that. There is just the overwhelming majority of teachers are phenomenal, amazing what they do when they close those doors for 182 days.
Truly.
You tried doing that,
yeah.
right? With 175,
right?
13-year-olds, right? So they just do amazing work on it. But I think as more and more districts now, Luis Rankin Zabarra is a classic one. They're all focused on learner-centered education.
Right.
And it's not the newest concept in the world, but it's one that's getting so much steam and should always have been there. And we know that. And my hope is one of these days they flip that. Recess is not 15 minutes. Recess is going to be an hour and 15 minutes because we're going to set things up where you're going to be learning during recess. Now, that's obvious to you folks. You guys do this all the time.
Right.
Do you see that's happening more and more at the schools? It needs to be happening more and more.
I think so. Even just through my own experience of having a kiddo, just complete elementary school and enter middle school. Yes, I think there is a lot more that's happening on the school during the school day. There's just also limitations, right, during the school day that are, in terms of what needs to happen.
But that gets me to the point. I'm a former, I'm still a current curriculum developer. I'm a curriculum business. What am I talking about here?
Yeah.
And that's what I did when I was at San Diego Unified a zillion years ago. And we know this. And one of the groups I work with is, and you know this, and we want to get more involved with you, Classroom of the Future Foundation, I think is a natural fit for the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum. And you folks have been to some of our events. We want to get you as the new CEO more engaged with us. But that being said, we know that there's probably a truism that's spoken anywhere in this world. And I guarantee my associate producer, Brandon Joe, who is a junior at UCSD coming into it, he's also the founder and CEO of his own business, Treasure Hacks, would say yes to this. And that is, why did I take this course? Now, I don't care if you're living in Mozambique, you're living in Afghanistan, there's every kid, no matter what language, said, I don't think I need to learn this stuff, right? Am I right?
Yeah, that's so true.
Right. So how about the things but if I had more of this, and it's going to be different for some people. If some people can't stand math and it's going to have nothing to do in their life except for basic math. You should know that. Yep. But I don't need to be into quantum physics because it's not going to do what I'm going to do. Now, if you want to be an architect and all that, you better learn how to do these things.
Right.
But no matter what, the truism is play. And there is so much learning and mental health in this absolutely horrible world we're in with mental health is just such a crisis. It is amazing to me that more of this doesn't happen.
Yeah, but and I'm so glad that people have found the museum to
Yes.
be able to do just that, right? When they come in, even as parents, they can
Yes.
watch kids just play.
Yes.
They can see them. They can roam through both the indoor and the outdoor spaces. It's such an incredibly accessible place, for children, and they can just do all the things that whatever they think of next. It's just so much easier for parents in that space to just let them go and do that. They can keep an eye from wherever they are, but they don't need to direct. Oh, now we're walking this way, or we're going that. It's the most, to me, incredibly inspiring moment. Like, where just to see kids just run in the door and know exactly what they're going to go do. They have an idea. They're going to make it happen. And then can I also make a quick note on what you said about how strong, children
Please.
or adults? I cannot tell you how strong children are. They break more things, and but we always think to ourselves, God, that just makes us better and stronger. But it just was interesting you were saying that about just don't worry, it's not going to break. And you know what? Adults, it won't. It's only 4-year-olds that can
Exactly.
break this stuff in the museum. That's it.
Exactly, and that's okay. Then
Yeah.
they can figure out how to put it together. And all the learning they're doing with this activity, they're learning about physics. They may not know it. They're learning about space. They're learning about, and probably one of the most important things that come out of what you folks do. And it's so critical for those folks who don't have this opportunity. These kids have a voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about how voice is so important. What you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about what the kids are doing when they get there. They're talking and they're showing us what's happening. They're actually interacting with their peers, going ahead, creating things, but they're problem solving together. And we talk a lot about social emotional learning. Our kids are doing that too here in the museum. They don't know it's happening, but that's a lot of what's happening on the museum floor.
Without question.
And it's just an opportunity for the entire family to play, to have that hands-on experience, but really to, learn without realizing that they're learning, right? It feels like fun. That's why kids cry out the door, right? They're like, that was so fun. But if they only knew how much they just gained by spending those few hours with us.
They will when they get older, without question. What can our listeners do to support your efforts besides go to the big events that are coming up?
Yeah, well, certainly attendance at our big events, those help us.
Yeah.
Contributions to our organization, of course. But when that's not possible, we do have lots of volunteer opportunities. There's lots of prep that happens. We do daily programming every day. So even if today we talked a lot about our exhibits, but we do have activities that are happening in the morning and again in the afternoon. We prep for those. We want there to be additional things for families to engage in at the museum. And there's a lot of opportunity for volunteers to help us with that. So, those are opportunities. You can fill out a little questionnaire online just to get connected to us. We'd love to host you there at the museum, volunteers. And those are the incredible ways. Spread the word and let us know if you want our mobile van to come out to you. Our mobile exhibits travel. So, and no place in the county is too far. We've gone as far as Julian, as far south as Otay Mesa. We're ready.
Beautiful, beautiful. What's the website?
At www.sdcdm.org.
Yeah, Christina Piranio, I cannot thank you enough for coming in. She's the CEO of San Diego Children's Discovery Museum up in Escondido. I highly encourage everybody to make a visit there. If you can't get up there, give her a shout. The mobile van and the SUV will be out there visiting you. We know we're going to have you on multiple times because I think it's such an important museum. Think about who you might want to bring in. Maybe a parent, maybe a child that has benefited from this. We don't want to break any privacy laws and all that aspect of it, but we love having kids on that have experienced something, in your case, this museum. So give some thought to that.
Yeah, we'll do. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Christina, it's our pleasure. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for more than 6 decades. Been doing great things for people living in San Diego County. We hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.